Consider adding some indoor plants and flowering plants to your home and office. They can add beauty to your indoor decor, help calm your spirit on those stressful days, and research has shown they clean the air, making it a more healthful environment. Hi, I'm Melinda Myers, horticulturist and gardening expert. I'm here at Pasquesi Garden Center, Lake Bluff, Illinois, amidst all of these beautiful houseplants. Some old favorites and new varieties I'd like to share to encourage you to move some indoors in your home. Looking to add a little color to your office or home, houseplants and flowering plants are a great option. Now when we think of flowering houseplants, we think of African violets. Still available, many beautiful cultivars. Do best in full sun, moist soil, little pot bound to help initiate bloom, and African violet fertilizer will keep your African violet looking good. But there are many new choices out there. One that's been around a while, often used as a container plant outside, is golden shrimp plant. Beautiful spikes of flowers. The plant will bloom for several months. Good bright conditions, moist, well-drained soils, and then when it's not blooming, you can let it go just a little bit drier between waterings, and then it will start blooming again in about another 8 months. One that's new to me that I'm very excited about is this sedum, Cranberry Harvest. You can see where the name comes from. Hardy in zones 10 to 11, so for most of us it'll be a patio plant and an indoor plant. Wonderful flowers to brighten up the indoors, great looking foliage as well. This one likes to be a little bit drier between watering, a little bit lower maintenance, a little more forgiving. One of my favorite plants, holiday plants and flowering plants, is the cyclamen. Wonderful shooting star-like flowers. They come in whites and pinks and lavender. Great foliage, often variegated. Likes cool conditions, bright location, and the soil slightly moist. When it's done blooming, allow the soil to dry, the plant will go dormant, repot, start watering, it'll start growing and blooming for you again in the near future. So give this a try. If nothing else, compost it when you're done after you've enjoyed it. Kalanchoe or kalanchoe, depends on your pronunciation, same plant. Wonderful in yellows, oranges, and reds. A great holiday plant or flowering succulent. Likes full sun. It can take drier soils when it's not in bloom. And after it's done flowering, pinch off those flowers, you'll get a second flush of bloom. And then if you want to reforce it to bloom, give it 14 hours of total darkness each night, just like you would your poinsettia. When it starts to flower, you can stop giving it the dark treatment. Kalanchoe or kalanchoe. Bromeliads, wonderful plants, from anything from the tillandsia to some of the more traditional vase plants. Great plants. The flowers almost look fake. They last for several months. When the flower fades, the parent plant dies, sends up little babies. Once they reach maturity, put a piece of apple in with the plant, cover with a plastic bag for 3 days. It gives off the ethylene, the apple does, and that initiates flowering. And then take it out of the bag, and in a month or so you'll have new blooms on those plants, and the process starts over. All this seems like a little much work, or maybe you don't have much light. We've got some other options. Low light doesn't mean a lack of flowers, just pick the right plant. And Anthurium are a perfect example of flowering plants that will grow even in moderate to lower light. I've had good luck blooming this on and off throughout the year. This one's growing on a piece of volcanic rock. It's an epiphyte, so we just keep the roots moist, bright light, and you'll be rewarded with flowers throughout the year. Peace lily is a favorite low light bloomer. You've probably seen it flowering in the shopping malls. The wonderful space, often fragrant flowers, and a plant that likes the moisture. So if you're an overwaterer, perfect choice. If you're an underwaterer, guess what? You're going to need to give this attention. It will forgive you. The leaves will flop down on the pot, you water, they'll perk up, but at some point they won't forgive you. So keep the soil moist. I love this jar. What a great way to display your plant. So even when it's not in bloom, you've got a little added color and interest for your guests. And one of the new introductions is a nice variegated form of peace lily. This is called Domino. Look at that great foliage. What a wonderful plant. So even when it's not in bloom, it'll brighten up those darker corners in your home. Again, keep the soil evenly moist. What a wonderful new addition to the indoor plant collection. The other plants that are really common that we use for house plants are pothos and philodendron. And maybe you're tired of them, but lots of new introductions with variegated foliage, a lot of interest there. So look for pothos and philodendron. Traditional ones work fine in low light situations, but brighten it up a bit with some of the new varieties. And one plant I'm seeing more and more out and about at shopping malls, airports, very difficult growing situations, is the ZZ plant. Takes low light, takes a lot of abuse, takes drier soils. Interesting foliage, nice form, can give you a lot of interest indoors with very little care. And don't forget about that old traditional mother-in-law's tongue or snake plant. It's a tough, indestructible plant. Whether you get the solid green or variegated types, bright light to low light, dry soils, hard to kill plant. Thus the name snake plant because of the foliage, and mother-in-law's tongue because you can't kill it. Sorry moms, I'm going to be a mother-in-law someday too. So keep that in mind. And for those of you that are really busy, we have an even better solution. Just like the philodendron and pothos, there are new varieties of snake plants, cacti, and succulents on the market. This cylindrica snake plant adds a nice vertical accent to this dish garden. Team it up with a grafted cactus, some other cacti and succulents, and you've got a nice dish garden for a tabletop or your office desk. And we all know aloe vera, that burn plant, but look at this one. This is called hedgehog, and you can see why. Beautiful blue-green foliage. Be careful, a little spiny, but great form and texture. The nice thing about cacti and succulents, good light, well-drained to dry soil. So it's definitely a good plant for travelers or those who go with benign neglect in your plants. Barrel cactus. Not quite as big as what you'd see on the desert, but isn't this an eye catcher? Be careful when touching it and working around it, but nice form. The golden barrel has these beautiful yellow spines that contrast nicely with the green stem. With cacti and succulents in the winter, we leave it a little bit cooler. The soil can go drier, and with a little luck, you'll get flowers in late winter. This is crown of thorns, a flowering plant. This is a variegated variety, a nice surprise. After it's done blooming, you often lose the leaves in low light periods, but they'll push them back out in spring and summer when the light's better, and you'll be rewarded with bloom. And a little something different, an echeveria. I was kind of surprised when I first looked at it, but a closer look at that rosette of leaves, and look at these flowers. Cacti and succulents can provide some bloom and color and interest, unique form with minimal care. So if you're looking at sparking up your indoor garden, look for things that are flowering, low light, low maintenance, that fit your gardening needs and your indoor decor.